How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Indeed Gaming here. I am, in fact, Mr. Indeed, and welcome to my channel. I'm not going to tell anyone to like, share, or subscribe because I just don't make videos that much. Maybe I'll start making them again when Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero comes out, but honestly, I don't know. I'm extremely busy all the time, so I don't know. Anyway. Reason I'm making this video is because I want to put my 2 cents into a conversation that I see going on with Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, and no one who's talking about the game really seems to be addressing my particular points with the game or my issues with the game. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people are just blindly defending From Software because they like From Software. Even when those people do criticize the game, they have to spend 2 or 3 minutes talking about how amazing it is first, which I think is just lame. My issue with Shadow of the Erdtree and Elden Ring, and honestly, I think I'm really trying to make this video short because I have a very bad tendency to ramble, and I'm trying not to do that. Is I think that, broadly speaking, Elden Ring's gameplay style is outdated. And I know it's not outdated for a lot of people, to be fair. Not only it is obviously not outdated for a lot of people, there are games that have a very similar play style that honestly I think Dark Souls games kind of borrowed from. Because Dark Souls games play a lot like Monster Hunter games. I've been playing Monster Hunter games for about 17 years. Personally, I think Monster Hunter is a way better game, but obviously I'm biased. And I enjoy it in Monster Hunter. I do not really enjoy it with From Software. And I think part of the reason that I do not enjoy it with From Software is because in Monster Hunter, the monsters can all kill you faster than you can kill them, for the most part. Unless you're like, you got your super build and you're all buffed up with, mega demon drugs and blah, blah, blah. And you went all the way back down to like low tier and you're fighting Great Jagras or something with a great sword. It's like, yeah, you might be able to kill Great Jagras faster at that point. But if you're fighting something that you're leveled to fight, it's like, yeah, it can kill you faster than you can kill it. It may not one-shot you. It may not two-shot you, even though there are certain things that you're leveled to fight that can do that. But you can actually fight the boss. You're not just running from the boss. Well, I should say the monster in that game. You're not just running from the monster majority of the time. Like, you have enough time when you're fighting these monsters to actually attack. Like, you have, I don't use longsword myself, but, you can get off the parries and the helm splitter attacks and all that stuff like that. I think, no, helm splitter is Dragon's Dogma 2. Oh, Dragon's Dogma 1, too. But I don't use longsword, so I don't know what it's called. But y'all, if you play Monster Hunter, you know what I mean. You can get off special attacks. You have the time to get off your combos. You have the time to fight the monster. In Dark Souls games, and honestly more Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree than even Elden Ring itself, you don't really get to fight the boss. You get to run from the boss, and then every once in a while you swing your sword or something like that. And I don't think that that's very fun. I think that that's part of the reason that people are saying that the game is too hard. I think that the game is probably not too hard. It's just that people aren't enjoying playing it. I think people are trying to play the game the way that they want to play it, and they're finding that the way they want to play it makes the game very hard. When I fought the last boss, spoiler warning, when I fought Radahn, I could not fight Radahn the way that I want to fight it. I wanted to fight Radahn. Now, part of the reason I couldn't fight Radahn the way I wanted to fight Radahn was because I didn't know how to dodge certain attacks the right way and blah, blah, blah. And by the time I beat him, I did know how to do all that stuff. But by the time I beat him, I had already stopped having fun. The game was already no longer fun to me. When I beat Radahn, and when I was thinking about beating Radahn while I was fighting him, I didn't get that sense of accomplishment that everyone always talks about. That's not how I felt when I beat Radahn. And that's not how I thought about beating Radahn when I was fighting him. When I beat Radahn, and when I was getting close to beating Radahn, all I was thinking was, after I beat this nigga, I can actually start semi-enjoying the game again. Because I wasn't enjoying the fight. I didn't think the fight was fun. Now, I continued to fight him. One, because I don't like getting beat in video games, so I couldn't allow that to stand. But two, because he had an incantation. Beating him gave me an incantation that I needed for the way that I wanted my character to look and play. So I had to beat him. But the whole sense of accomplishment and everything is not how I felt about him. I felt I need to beat him so I can stop having to fight him. So I can get back to semi-enjoying this game. Because right now I'm not enjoying the game. That's not how boss fights should make you feel, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people probably felt that way and either didn't realize that was why it was bothering them because they were no longer enjoying the game, or they just haven't said it, or the people who have said it just haven't been paid attention to. Because a lot of the conversation that I see about this game and people trying to defend the game is something that is very broad and, in my opinion, very shallow. Them defending the game not being too hard. I don't actually care about the difficulty of the game. If the gameplay of the game was fun, the game could be as difficult as it wants to be. I don't enjoy the boss fights. And another reason that I don't enjoy the boss fights in general is because the boss is always attacking. Like, if the boss gets to attack for 10 seconds and then I get to attack for 2 seconds, that's not fun to me. The game has decent enough animations, even though they've been recycling animations for over a decade. They have really cool incantations, even though a lot of the incantations are completely useless and weak and unbalanced. And I don't think From Software knows how to balance a game worth anything. I was like, but I don't even get to use them, so it doesn't matter. Because the boss is always attacking. And if I want to use some of the cool looking incantations, I have to acknowledge that I'm just going to get hit. Like the one incantation with the dragon lightning, when you float up in the air, and lightning strikes in one hand, and in the other hand you throw one down, you throw the other one down. There's not a whole lot of situations in a boss fight that I can use that and I'm not going to get hit. There are some bosses that I can use it on, obviously. But for the most part, there's not a whole lot of bosses I can use that on and not get hit. And realistically, in most cases, it's not worth it. It's like, yeah, I'm going to use this incantation. Looks cool. It'll be really cinematic. My character is actually built for incantations. So I'll probably get a decent amount of damage out of it. But is that damage worth me losing half of my life? Probably not. It will be more effective for me to just roll 8 times and then swing my weapon 2 times and then roll 8 more times and then swing my weapon 2 more times and get the same damage. It would be more effective for me to do that. And I don't think that should be the case. Like, if you're giving me cool looking incantations, they should be worth doing. And a lot of times they're not worth doing. Because it's not worth me getting, say, 2,000 damage or 1,500 damage, but also losing half of my life, when I could not lose half of my life and just swing my sword 3 times or 4 times. It's not worth it. And again, my character is built to use incantations, and some incantations that I use are actually really strong. It's just that majority of incantations in the game are pointless because they suck. And they suck because From Software does not know how to balance their game. I don't care what anyone says. They're terrible at balancing their game. If you have a bunch of incantations and spells and ashes of war in the game that are pointless, and they're very obviously pointless because nobody uses them, it's like there's a problem with that. It's like, yeah, every game eventually ends up with a meta or whatever. But me personally, when I play video games, I purposely do not use them. But at the same time, when I don't use them in other games, even though I can recognize that I'm not playing the game optimally, I'm still enjoying myself regardless, so I don't care. But the way that these games are made, it makes it harder to enjoy yourself not playing the game optimally because you're at such a disadvantage. From Software games, to me anyway, are the poster child of artificial difficulty. Basically, their games are difficult because they make sure that your character always sucks. It's not fun. And again, to be fair to them, there are ways that you can make your character stronger and all this other stuff, but I don't usually like, say, using buffs in video games, so this is something that I have to acknowledge is partly my fault. I don't like using buffs in video games. When I play video games, I like for my character to just be strong. It's like, so yeah, I'm like, if I can use a buff and make my character stronger, I would much rather just grind and level up and make my character that strong anyway, because I don't like spending 10 or 15 seconds buffing myself before a fight. I think that's lame. Well, I don't want to call it lame. That's not really fair. It's just something I don't like. It's not lame. It's just I don't like it, so I don't do it. So that's my problem. But I also think that I should be able to do that. Like if I want to grind, let me grind. And if I enjoy grinding, let that grind mean something. My issue is that a lot of times the grind doesn't mean anything. I'm level 337 in this game. It's like, but I can still get two-shotted by a regular world enemy. That's not fun to me. Because now that means that every single time that regular world enemy makes a move, I now need to play around it. I can't play the game the way I want to play. I can't use the attacks that I want to use because I have to be more mindful of that thing than it has to be of me. I don't think that that's fun, personally. Now, obviously, well, I don't want to say obviously. I enjoy games differently than I used to enjoy them. Like, for example, when I was younger, I used to run literally everywhere in video games. Now that I'm older, I like walking places. Why? I don't know. I just like to chill a lot more, I guess. But I can acknowledge that I enjoy games differently now. So at a certain point, maybe these games are just going to be no longer for me. And the way that Shadow of the Erdtree went, it made me feel like these games going forward may just not be for me. Because I didn't really enjoy my time playing the game. My character looks really cool. So I had fun with that. And even though I think that this game has probably one of the worst create modes ever, the dreads in this game are probably the best dreads I've ever seen in a create mode in a video game. So I got to give it to them on that. These are really good dreads. I enjoyed them. But that's my issue with the game. I think that the game gotten to a point where it just isn't fun to play anymore for a lot of people. I think that obviously the people who swear by these games are going to enjoy it. This is what they want in their games, and I respect that. And obviously more criticism is going to come to Elden Ring and From Software in general because they're getting a wider audience because the game is getting bigger, just like any other game. But for me anyway, as someone who, one, has played these games for a while, so I'm not new to them, and for someone who has played games that are similar, this game is less fun. and it has gotten less fun for me. I don't like being weak all the time. And it's not because I want the game to be super easy or anything. It's because I want the time that I spend in a video game to be valued. If I spend time grinding in a game for hours and hours, it's like I feel like I should be rewarded for that, for more than just, oh, I can kill enemies pretty fast. It was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. It was like, but if I'm still like feel just as squishy as I did when I first started playing, it's just not as fun to me. And I think that a lot of the way that they design their games just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, there's a mod that came out for this game called like Swordsmanship or something like that. The parry mechanic in that game, in that mod, is better than the wondrous physics that they put in their own game. And I'm sure they saw that mod. That mod is better. I don't care what anyone says. The mod is better. Not only that, why would they limit deflecting attacks to a wondrous physic? To me, that makes no sense. Because I would have sacrificed a talisman slot for that gameplay style. Because it's like, okay, if you want to, the way that I would have saw it was like, okay, if you want to play the game this way, then now you can play the game this way. Not, okay, you can play the game this way for about 3 minutes one time every time you rest at a site of grace. Why? Why am I being limited to deflecting? Like, if you wanted to make a wondrous physic that increased the window of your deflect, okay, that makes sense. Excuse me. But limiting the deflect mechanic to a wondrous physic, personally, I think it's dumb. I don't think it makes sense. I think it was a bad move, and I don't like it. Just like I don't like the quick step being Ash of War. Why would a sidestep have to be an Ash of War? Why can't it just be a way that you can dodge? I feel like that should have just been an option to dodge that way. Because it's really not better than the roll. At least to me, it's not better than the roll. So it's like, why would I use that? Not only does it cost stamina, it also costs FP. And the window, the invincibility frames on it, to me anyway, don't seem any better. Like, I'm not one of those people who, really go in on each frame and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I know to me, the sidestep doesn't seem good enough to be an Ash of War. I don't know how they justified that being an Ash of War. Now, the way that I probably would have implemented it is I just would have made it an option. You can go into your settings and change the roll to a sidestep. Why not? That's the way that I would have done it. If they wanted to keep the roll for people who like the roll and then keep the sidestep for people who like the sidestep, just make it an option to switch to. I don't know if it makes sense to make it a talisman. It's like the deflect, I can see that being more of a talisman, even though I think it should have been something that was just an option in the game. I can understand why they didn't do it, kind of. It was like, but making it a wondrous physics, something that you can only use for 3 minutes every time you rest at a site of grace, I think it's stupid. I think it was a very bad move. Personally, I think that these games, I think what they need to do is they need to make their combat better and make their AI more enjoyable to fight. And I think that I'm sure a lot of people will say, well, that just means that you want the game to be easier. If it makes the game easier, okay, I guess you got me. But I want to enjoy the game. And again, to be fair, I enjoy games differently now. If you're part of that group of people who enjoys getting beat by a boss for an hour or two until you finally figure out how to beat them, and then you learn their moveset, and then it's a super easy fight from then on, cool. That's cool. I respect it. Me personally, I just don't enjoy games that way. So maybe my issue is more that I no longer enjoy games the way that they make their games. And I think that maybe it's a lot of people who now play these games because the games are more popular, also do not enjoy the way that they make their games. But I don't think that I think that people at the very least could enjoy their games more, and I could enjoy their games more if I felt like the things that I did in the game were worth it. If I felt like the Ashes of War I used, the incantations I used, or at least a majority of the Ashes of War and majority of the incantations were worth it, I could probably enjoy this game a lot more. Even with the bosses attacking for like 10 seconds. I could probably enjoy the game more then. I could enjoy the game even more if the game had a parry mechanic like Sekiro did. So I could actually feel like I'm fighting the boss and not running from the boss. Because lore-wise, once I have one great rune, my power should jump considerably, but you never really feel that way. So, again, maybe the way that I enjoy these games has games in general has just changed, and maybe going forward these types of games just won't be for me. And I'll assess that in the next game that comes out from them. I'm not sure what they're going to do next. I'm not sure how interested I really am in it, because like I said, I'm not one of those people who really thinks that From Software just makes incredible games every single time. I think most of their games are pretty mid, if I'm being honest. But we'll see. At the risk of rambling anymore, because I do feel like I just started rambling a lot, I will end this video. But those are my issues with the game. I think that the game is unbalanced in a way that Ashes of War and incantations, majority of the ones that are in the game, simply aren't worth doing, especially in boss fights. I think that the bosses attack too much, limiting your time to actually attack and making it feel more like you're running from the boss than actually fighting the boss. And what was the last one? Oh yeah, I want my time in the game to be worth it. My time spent in the game to feel like it was worth it. Not just because I fought a boss long enough that I now have memorized his moveset in every frame that he has, so now I can beat him. Like, no. I want my character to feel like the time that I've spent with them and putting into their build is worth it, besides me just like buffing myself 6 times before every single boss fight. That's what I want in these games. If that makes the game considerably easier, I would be okay with that, because I play games to have fun. I want the games to be challenging, yes, because like I said, Dragon's Dogma 2, I'm too strong in that game now. So now I beat everything super fast. Like I fought a troll yesterday and I beat it in like 4 charged attacks from the greatsword. Wasn't a super fun fight, if I'm being honest. So I'm really hoping they put a hard mode in that game soon, because they did put a hard mode in the first one. But either way, I'm rambling. So that's going to be it for this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I don't know, I guess I'll see you guys in like 2 or 3 months if Dragon Ball Z comes out. Or when Dragon Ball Z comes out. Indeed.